This is Tom Duty, middle-aged American living in New Jersey near the Lincoln Tunnel. If you were to visit my website, you would type Howdy Doody into Google. You'll find the correct spelling of the famous puppet. You then combine Tom Duty and a Google search for my site. Excerpts from the Starr Report, Monica Lewinsky and Bill Clinton. Monica Lewinsky began her White House employment as an intern in the Chief of Staff's office in July 1995. At White House functions in the following month, she made eye contact with the President during the November 1995 government shutdown. The President invited her to his private study where they kissed. Later that evening, they had a more intimate sexual encounter. They had another sexual encounter 2 days later and a third one on New Year's Eve. Monica Lewinsky worked at the White House, first as an intern, then as an employee from July 95 to April 96, with the assistance of family friend Walter Kay, a prominent contributor to political causes. She obtained an internship starting in early July, where she was 21 years old. She was assigned to work as a correspondent to the Office of the Chief of Staff, Leon Panetta, in the old executive office building. As her internship was winding down, Ms. Lewinsky applied for a paying job in the White House staff. She interviewed with Timothy Keating, Special Assistant to the President and Staff Director of Legislative Affairs. Ms. Lewinsky accepted the position dealing with correspondence in the Office of Legislative Affairs in November 1995, but did not start the job, thus continuing her internship until November 26. She remained a White House employee until April 96, when, in her view, because of intimate relationship with the President, she was dismissed from the White House and transferred to the Pentagon. The month after the White House internship began, Ms. Lewinsky and the President began what she characterized as intense flirting. The departure ceremonies and other events, she made eye contact with him, shook hands, and introduced herself. When she ran into the President in the West Wing basement and introduced herself again, according to Ms. Lewinsky, he responded that he already knew who she was. Ms. Lewinsky told her aunt that the President seemed attractive to her or interested in her or something. She told a visiting friend that she was attracted to the President. She had a big crush on him. I think she told me she at some point had gotten his attention, that there was some mutual eye contact during recognition, mutual acknowledgement. In the autumn of 1995, the impasse over the budget forced the federal government to shut down for 1 week. From Tuesday, November 14th through Monday, November 20th, only essential federal employees were permitted to work during the furlough. The White House staff of 430 shrank to 90. People from the weak White House interns could continue to work because of their unpaid status. They took on the wing range and additional duties. During the shutdown, Ms. Lewinsky worked for the Chief of Staff Panetta's West Wing office, where she answered phones and ran errands. The President came to Panetta's office frequently because of the shutdown, and he would sometimes talk to Lewinsky. She characterized these encounters as continued flirtation. According to Ms. Lewinsky, a senior advisor to the Chief of Staff, Barry Toiv, remarked to her that she was getting a great deal of FaceTime with the President. Ms. Lewinsky testified Wednesday, November 1995, the second day of the government shutdown, marked the beginning of a sexual relationship with the President. On that date, she entered the White House at 1:30, and sometime thereafter, White House records show the time re-entered at 5:07 p.m. and a departure at 12:18 a.m. November 16th, the President was in the Oval Office and Chief of Staff office where Ms. Lewinsky worked during the furlough. From almost the identical period that Ms. Lewinsky was in the White House that evening, from 5:01 to November 15th, 12:35 a.m., November 16th, According to Ms. Lewinsky, she and the president made eye contact and came to the West Wing to see Mr. Pineda, the Deputy Chief of Staff, Harold Ikes, and then later again, informal birthday party for Jennifer Palmieri, Special Assistant to the Chief of Staff. At one point, Ms. Lewinsky and the president talked alone in the Chief of Staff's office. In the course of flirting with him, she raised her jacket in the back and showed him the straps of her thong underwear, which extended above her pants. En route to the restroom at about 8 p.m., she passed George Stephanopoulos' office. The president was inside alone, and he beckoned her to enter. She told him that she had a crush on him. He laughed, and he asked if she would like to see him in a private office, though through a connecting door in Mr. Stephanopoulos' office, they went through the president's private dining room toward the study in the Oval Office. Ms. Lewinsky testified, "We talked very briefly and sort of acknowledged that there had been chemistry, and there was before they were attracted to each other. Other than she asked me if he could kiss me. Lewinsky said yes. With the windowless hallway adjacent to the study, they kissed. Before returning to her desk, Lewinsky wrote down her name and a telephone number for the president. About 10 p.m., Lewinsky's recognition, they had been alone in the Chief of Staff's office, and the president approached and invited her to a rendezvous again in Mr. Stephanopoulos' office in a few minutes, and she agreed, asked if she knew why the president wanted to meet with Lewinsky, testified, "I had an idea." They met in Stephanopoulos' office and went again to an area in private study. This time, the lights in the study were off. According to Ms. Lewinsky, she and the president kissed. She unbuttoned her jacket. Either she unbuttoned her bra or lifted her bra up, and then he touched her breasts with hands and mouth. Ms. Lewinsky testified, "I believe he took a phone call, so we went and moved to the hallway into the back office. He put his hand down my pants and stimulated me manually in the genital area. While the president continued to talk on the phone, Ms. Lewinsky understood the call was a member of Congress or a senator. He finished the call and a moment later told Lewinsky to stop. In her recollection, I told him that I wanted to complete that, and he said, we'll need to wait until he trusted me more. And then I think he made a joke that he hadn't had that in a long time. But before their sexual encounter, during the encounter, Ms. Lewinsky and the president talked. At one point during the conversation, the president tugged on the pink intern pass hanging around her neck and said that it might be a problem. Ms. Lewinsky thought, as she was talking about access, interns were not supposed to be in the West Wing without an escort, and in addition, that might have discerned some impropriety in sexual relationship with a house intern. While White House records contributed details of Ms. Lewinsky's account. She testified that on November 15th, encounters with the president occurred about 8 and 10 p.m., and that in each case there went for a chief of staff. The president visited the chief of staff hour for a minute, 8:12 p.m., and for 2 minutes, 9:23 p.m., in each case returning to the Oval Office. She recalled that the president took a telephone call during their sexual encounter and believed that the caller was a member of Congress. White House records show that after returning to the Oval Office from the Chief of Staff's office, the president had to talk to members of Congress and Jim Chapman from 9:25 to 9:35, John Tanner from 9:31 to 9:35. This has been Tom Duty, middle-aged American living in New Jersey. I got to cut this recording. I only have 10 minutes on my software. I'll pick up in part two.